Mm. 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 Check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear it?
Yep. Check
Yeah.
1 2.
All right. Kia ora and
Kia ora.
welcome. Kia ora and welcome to the Creative Talk podcast, where we blend the worlds of consciousness and commerce. My name is Kebrasca King.
And I'm Amber King. And today we've got a very special guest.
We do indeed.
Yes, all the way from our home country, New Zealand, Aotearoa. And she's now residing here in Melbourne.
She is. Her name is Joelle Corbett, and she's an Aquarian healer and subconscious trauma specialist who's spent over 2 decades helping people clear deep-rooted patterns within their lives, within their lifetimes, and both here and also beyond. Past life regression. Amber,
Oh, yes.
tell me a bit about that. For those who do not know what past life regression is, and Joelle will obviously be in later on to talk about what it is that she does within that space. What's your experience? with
Well,
regards to past
okay.
life regression?
So, not everyone believes in past lives. I do, because I have experienced a lot of things when it comes to healing and delving into past lives. Because it can affect those things that we did in the past life, can affect things that we are currently doing in our present life. So, as you know, I often get sore hips.
You
You
do.
love these sore hips, and you get to work on them a lot with your different healing modalities. So,
I do.
I'm
I
your
do.
best case study, but
You're my longest client.
I owe you a lot of money.
Not to say that the modality that I use on Amber's thighs doesn't work, because it does. It's
It
just
does.
the amount of work that she does with other people, it actually goes into your body. So what happened when you were actually doing this?
Wow. So I do a healing modality called crystal dreaming, where I did a session, and I was actually the client, and I wanted to look into what could be possibly giving me pain in my hips and my thighs, and particularly the left side. So I did an exercise where I brought up a past life, and I was a little boy, and I was homeless back in the probably like 1700s
Oh,
in
wow.
England. So living on the streets, and was befriended by a man, and he was the butcher, and he had befriended a lot of the other homeless children as well. And let's just say he wasn't a good person, and some of the things that he did in that life caused me to have pain in the leg, in the
Wow.
hip, and was connected to the pain that I was feeling in this current life.
So you had a session which was a past life regression,
Mm-hmm.
and in that session you went to a past. When was this time?
So like
you-
1600s, 1700s.
1670, black and white days.
Yeah. Like think of England back in the day
Yeah.
where things were dirty. They were, it was horse and cart.
And it was like
It was
London,
grimy.
England.
Yeah.
London,
and
England was the place.
yeah, something like that. And I just remember seeing cobblestones and not having shoes. And I'm like this grimy little boy that's homeless and
Wow.
begging on the streets.
And then what happened? You had this butcher character that was there, and was it
Person.
like a visual, or
Yeah,
what was it
well,
like for people who've
I-
never done it before?
Well, because I'm a very visual person, so I could see images, and I could
Mm.
see this kind of playing out. Other people might feel into it, so they're using other senses, but I was using my visual senses. And yeah, and this man, he befriended me and some of the other homeless children, and kind of let us in to be like, oh, come and I'll feed you and that kind of stuff.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And then what happened to you within that life?
I ended up, yes, being fed for a little while by this man. But then he ended up, I don't want to get us banned on our first day back, but yeah, he ended up just
Not being a nice guy.
not being a nice person, basically using the children. He was a butcher. So
Oh,
you can
no
put two
way.
and two together. Um, you know, that's kind of how it played out then. So the pain that was inflicted on me in that life actually is where the pain sits in my hips currently. Well, in this life. So yeah, and I did a bit of a clearing there through that healing. So as part of, you don't just, when you do past life regression, you don't just like bring it up and then kind of that's it. You bring that episode or that circumstance up to the surface, and then you look to work on it so you can release it from this life, so that you're no longer connected to it in this life, and you can heal it.
And then so after you actually healed that, what happened? That you were obviously having pain in that particular hip,
Mhm,
and then you had this session, this regression,
mhm.
and then what happened to that pain?
So then it subsided. So then I think I was really good for another few months.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great. So it got rid of the pain from you actually doing that session.
yeah, it
That's
did.
that's insane. And your session is a little bit different to what Joelle's going to be talking
Yes,
about tonight, correct?
yes. Joelle does a different type of modality,
She does.
which we've both experienced. So yeah, tell me about, you've experienced some past life regression too, and past life work.
Yeah,
Um,
I was recommended to see Joelle from another very good friend, teacher, and mentor, Nigel, who at the time said that part of the work that I should do should actually incorporate things like, you know, looking at how you can look at connecting to past lives.
mhm,
And he recommended that I actually go and see Joelle. Now, I've never done past life regression stuff. I was very early in the stages of actually doing spiritual work, to be honest, and had never done it ever before. And so it was my first session that I had with her, and went to her place out in St. Kilda. And we started on this. She explained all the things that we're going to be going through, and what might happen. And basically, there's like a bed that you lie on, and we got into this hypnotic state, which for me was like meditation,
mhm.
similar to meditation. And then all of a sudden, I was no longer in that room.
Where were you?
I tell you, I literally, she started her process, which she can talk to us more about tonight. But that first session was very intense for me.
Mm,
I went from being in that room, being in that meditative state, to being regressed back to a time within the Egyptian era,
mm.
where the times where the pharaohs are ruling, and it was like I was a young boy within that space, within that time, within the Egyptian time frame. So I had instantly, visually, and I could feel everything, and I still remember it vividly right now. That it was like I was in this time, in this period, as a young boy, standing on the streets of Egypt.
Were you homeless as well?
I was homeless. I was out on the. I wasn't wealthy. I wasn't
Mm,
dressed very well. I had like this. I still remember. I had this loin cloth. That was literally it. I was dirty. I was
mm,
grubby.
mm.
I felt like I was a street kid, which is similar because I've lived in South Auckland, so it's kind of the same thing. But I regress back to that time frame, and what I remember is the life was about me being led by this really big adult dark character who was basically walking through the streets, and he was kind of grabbing these children as he was walking through, and I had this overwhelming sense to just follow this guy.
Mm.
And as I'm going through this, Joelle is there directing me, and she's telling me to do these things and bringing up these things and telling me to go down this path, and like it's unfolding like this really visceral dream,
Mm.
which is just like becoming more and more full on
Yeah.
as it goes down. So I follow this guy, and it's not just me. There were actually there was multiple children that were following this guy through the streets of Egypt into a particular temple. And I vividly remember what happened to every child, as well as myself, within that temple, within that
Mm.
setting. And it was full on, man. It was
Mm.
like unalived, but in a really like full on way. So hopefully we don't get banned. But it was like for my first time of actually going down it was full on. And Joelle actually helped me to go through the whole process safely and help me to really handle the situations that I was going through at the time, because to me it felt really real,
Mm.
and my body was moving, and I still remember everything about
Wow.
that
And
regression.
then what happened to you afterwards? How did you feel afterwards?
The biggest thing that happened was, so I'll talk a little bit about what happened,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it was pretty full on. But as a child, there was a process where this particular guy unalived quite a few of these children,
Mm.
and then because of that, we were trapped in these vessels.
You as in your spirit, your
Correct.
soul.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was heaps of us
Mm.
that were just being led into this place, and that was the process. And so I was inside this. I felt like being trapped inside, like a genie in the bottle type character, where I
Wow.
was inside this bottle, and then Joelle had to help me get out of that. So when I got out of it, I came back to like St. Kilda.
Wow.
And and it was like being on I don't know, like an LSD trip or something really full on, because it was just so real.
Mm.
And I came back, and the feeling that I had was just this overwhelming sense of like light, like a heavy weight had actually been lifted off me completely. And I didn't even know that I had that weight in the first place. So it was pretty surreal. It was pretty full on. And that was my first
Wow.
experience with Joelle.
It's really interesting that both of us had similar things. We were both homeless in these lives. We were both little boys and taken advantage taken advantage of by a man, and who, rounded up a whole lot of us children,
Mm.
and did those negative things. And that is still, because that was centuries ago,
Ages, like
and for me it
hundreds of
would have
years
been
ago.
centuries ago as well, but we still carried that in our bodies and in our DNA and our memories.
Memories, yeah. And it was so real that I still feel it in my body today. Like I still feel it. I still remember it. I still remember the
Wow.
room. I still remember the flames from the temple that I was in. I remember the smell of like the other children, and how we were all being led down the street. I remember so many things. It just keeps blowing me away the
Yeah.
more I think about it.
It that's when people skeptics, they'll be going, "Oh, you just made that up. You just use your imagination." I would beg to differ, because yes, we have vivid imaginations, but there's some things you just would not make up. Like you said you could smell the other children, you could feel what was happening. I could feel what was happening, and there's no way that I would have made that kind of
Mm-mm.
life up for myself. You
No,
know what I mean?
no.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us will think like, will really, for me, because I was actually, before doing all this spiritual work and becoming a psychic and a medium, and I was a full skeptic. I wasn't, as you know, I wasn't spiritual in any way. And the real test for me is going and trying these modalities around the world and with different teachers and healers, and seeing if it works.
Mm.
I was like the full skip. I was the guy to be like, this is not going to do anything to me.
Yeah.
And because I was recommended to Joelle, I was open to being with her and allowing her to do whatever she needed to do. It was fully open. And man, was I not ready for what happened. It was just like bigger and more profound than I was even ready for.
Mm.
And then after after that session, I don't know even if Joelle knows this, but I had to go and like sit in the park for like 2 hours,
Mm.
because it was like, what the heck just happened? And like, was that, I used to think, like, was that real? Did that really happen?
Mm,
Like, was that a thing? And my body was telling me that, that something had happened. My energy was telling me something had happened. The feeling that I had of feeling lighter told me that something had
mm,
happened. Something had happened.
yeah.
And it wouldn't have happened had I not taken the chance to do it. So for any skeptical people out there who think that this is a little bit like crazy or woo-woo or whatever, I recommend you just like
Give it a
try,
go.
give it a go and see what happens. Because I
Yeah.
can guarantee you something
Something.
is going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, you had multiple sessions,
I did
right?
after that. Yeah, I was hooked. I was like,
Yeah.
I went back and saw her
I
like,
know. Then I got FOMO.
I saw Joelle for like 3 months straight after that.
Uh,
And I cleared so many lives.
yeah.
And that was just my first experience. But
Mm,
like she took me on so many journeys.
yeah.
And it was interesting because we got to a point of working together where it was like, I feel like we have cleared a lot and there's nothing left to clear
Mm,
within this work.
mm,
And that was at that time. That was many years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It is pretty cool. It's you know, if you think about it, how many lifetimes have we had?
Who knows?
And not all of those lifetimes would have been happy and easy.
No.
So, some we might have died in battle, or we may have passed away in, I don't know, childbirth or whatever it is,
Hmm.
so the body can remember those things.
I think the body and our energy, absolutely.
Mm,
The more we work with energy, the more we work with, all these different gifts and people that we get to help, the more I see that is a deeper level connection. Sure, we're physical,
mm.
but actually before we're physical, we're energy first. And that lives for a very long time. So I think we haven't even scratched the surface on just how much we can actually do with ourselves or these gifts or beautiful people like Joelle. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having her in here. It's going to be cool.
I know. So, we're talking about this right now.
Mm.
We've had a bit of a break from doing the podcast for a few months.
Yeah, we have. We've
But
had a little break.
we've been busy in the background,
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
we?
Oh,
What
yeah.
what have we been doing with this, our whole new website and podcast and
Well,
everything?
I think last year when we first started this, Creative Talk took on its own like space.
Mhm.
And you and I have been doing this for a while,
Mm.
audio wise. And then we moved into the video space. And then we started interviewing people. And then we saw there was a need for it. But like at the same time, we had also been keeping the spiritual side of ourselves completely separate to our business lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? And we did that for a reason because we thought people would think we're crazy.
I mean,
And people still think we're crazy.
some people do,
Some people do.
but that's okay because we're just on a different path to them.
Well, I think we've also grown where we don't really care anymore. You can think what you want. We're still going to help people. We're still going to be out here doing our thing. We're still going to connect with as many healers in the world as possible and help as many traumas and release it as many ways as possible. And we're still going to be business owners. So like for me and for us, it became time to kind of go, why don't we just blend it all together?
Exactly.
Because I got sick of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Because there's that makes up both sides of us. I mean, there's more to us than just that. But, why would we hide one part of ourselves just to appease some people?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's about being more authentic.
Yeah.
And true to ourselves. And if people don't like it, then it's their business. But I feel like, now a lot of people in the corporate world are getting into breath work, meditation, wellness, things like that. And so it's becoming more mainstream, and then there's heaps of people in the spiritual world that, like Joelle, they're entrepreneurs like
Yeah,
us.
they're business owners like us.
They run businesses.
They run businesses.
But they're just in the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So, why not bring those two things together?
And you're right. People are becoming more open. There's a lot of successful corporates now that are actually like truly giving themselves and opening themselves up to meditation, to breath work, to yoga, to doing Pilates, but then they're expanding more into the spiritual space as well, like well-being and cold plunging and all these different things are now becoming, precedence
Yeah,
and
more
and
mainstream.
accepted. And there's not a big step away from that into like learning how to be psychic, because everyone's psychic. There's not a big step away from that and doing a past life regression session. It's very, very similar to doing energy work and that. So for us, we're like, I think it's time for us just to blend it all.
Yeah.
And that's what Creative Talk's going to be about, is us blending these worlds together. Jan, thanks so much on YouTube for your question. In my development circle, I was told I was a diva.
I mean,
Perhaps
that's a compliment.
perhaps in a past life. It could be. You could be right. You could totally be right. Maybe you were a past life diva. But if you wanted to check out Joelle before we bring her in, you can visit her website, which is universalhealingwellness.com. All the information on the modality that she does, called Aquarian healing, is all available on there, as well as herself, her journey, and everything that she has been involved into. But it's been a long journey for her and for us,
Yeah.
like learning and experiencing all these different things.
I know, and it just keeps growing. That's the cool thing about the spiritual world. There's as soon as you think, right, I know everything about this modality, then bang, something else comes up and you learn something new, and then there's something new and exciting coming here, and there's this new you're getting downloads, or you're getting new information, or there's another teacher that you can go and learn with. I feel like if you think you know everything, you've got to kind of realize you don't, and it's so much fun learning and developing.
And what I find is, with every modality that we've done over the years, whether it's tarot, mediumship, energy work, past life regression, hono, crystal dreaming, whatever those modalities that we've done, each one of them has had a profound effect on us, individually and collectively.
Yeah.
And I would say that they almost like, if you were a person that was covered in layers of trauma or sadness or grief or whatever, each of these modalities that we've had has lifted a piece of those in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Without even really understanding how it happens. It just does.
Yeah, and I think
It really does.
that you can't rely on one modality to do everything. And that's why it's important to try different things. And, it's kind of like in the medical world when they say get a second opinion. It's kind of like that. You would go and seek out another healer and see what they can offer you. Yeah.
And there's so many modalities and healers and gifted people out there that, we're strong advocates of trying to support as many of them as out there, because we've been supported ourselves to get to where we are now. And we wouldn't be here, we really wouldn't be here if they hadn't dedicated their time to
100%.
learn and heal themselves, and then be able to pass it on to us when we were curious, or in my case, skeptical.
But now look at you. You're a healer.
Now look at me.
You're a healer.
But look, I think it's time that we bring in Joelle Corbett. She's an Aquarian healer and subconscious trauma specialist who spent over 2 decades helping people clear deep-rooted patterns, whether they come from this lifetime or another. Please help me welcome Joelle.
Yeah.
Joelle, how are you?
Good. How are you both?
We are very
So
well,
good.
thank you. Very well. Thank you so much for joining us on Creative Talk Podcast. It's so lovely to see your beautiful face again. And I don't know if you were listening, but I shared a little bit about our session, one of our sessions that we had together. And it was phenomenal. So, thank you once again for your dedication, your gifts, and for being able to share so much with us this evening and with the people that are watching.
That is a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
So now, Joelle, you are a woman of many talents, as we've heard a little bit about you, starting in psychology, and now you're dealing with past lives and everything in between. Take us back to the moment your life shifted and what started your journey into this work.
For me, it was, I had this experience back in New Zealand. Well, I had many, many experiences, but one that was really profound was I went to this Maori marae for the weekend, and it was, and we stayed there overnight for 2 nights, and it was a lady. She was actually a Maori lady, and she was getting people up, and she was clearing past lives from them.
Wow.
And it was very, very traumatic. People were, weeping and wailing and everything. And all of us, I could just feel like my actual adrenaline was pumping because I knew that there was a lot of stuff coming to the surface. And I wasn't one of the actual lucky ones to have that release on that weekend. But I connected with a wonderful woman there who's also an actual New Zealand Maori lady. And I've been working with her, gosh, I'm in my late 50s, since my early 30s, and she's
Wow.
still my healer today.
Oh
Wow.
my
Isn't that
goodness.
profound? And she did practice a form of Aquarian healing, although she puts her own spin on it. And because I did so many sessions with her and I just loved it, I thought, oh, I need to add this to my little basket of tools here because I just got such wonderful results. A little bit like what Kebrasca was saying, or
Mm.
about being stuck in the jar and wanting to get out of that jar. I've had experiences like that myself,
Wow.
past lives. So it's not always like you have to work one way. Sometimes you got to go deeper to actually, get the soul out of it. Or sometimes you've even got to help other souls that are also stuck there as well
Yeah, wow.
in different scenarios. So to me, it's just fascinating. And I just found that it just goes so much deeper than just conventional psychology, psychotherapy, counseling. Not to actually knock that because it definitely has its place.
Yes, I
I
agree.
just sometimes feel, sometimes people say, look, I've been working with this issue for years and years and years,
Mm.
sitting in therapy, but it's just not shifting. And you
Mm.
know what? 9 times out of 10, I find that that issue goes back into past lives.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. And so the pathway of like your regression process and what you did with me was just like something I'd never experienced before. And I really was blown away by just how visceral the experience was for me. And, I was on the table moving and shaking and doing all these things. Is that a normal reaction to like when you first work with someone or when you actually spend time taking them through those lives as well?
Everyone's different. Everyone's different.
Mm.
Some people that hardly move at all, hardly feel any sensations. I'll have other people, they'll say the moment that because I utilize a form of kinesiology as well,
Yes.
the moment that I actually touched their wrist, they were starting to feel electric shocks or tingling and things going through the body. I've had some people, it's just extremely cathartic. Um, During the actual session, some people are very, very vocal. So I just feel that whatever needs to happen. And
Mm.
it's just really important that I can hold that space and be there with that person for whatever they need as well. Even though we're dealing with, past lives and different layers of, share we say,
Mm.
reality,
Yes.
it's also important that they come back in, they're safe in this present time.
Mm.
We don't leave part of them out there, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of very, very adaptable now. So the way in which I originally started to work, which was like by the book, I don't so absolutely not. No way. I like to just tailor make whatever a person brings, and
Mm.
naturally whatever tools I perhaps need from the actual manual, because a lot of it is with your intuition.
Sure.
No.
Yes. And you also, you talk about how it has to be safe practice and how you're going to be, dealing with certain traumas perhaps that might be in their lifetimes and how they do that. Um, you said that the trauma doesn't always start in this lifetime and that it could be related to another time. What do you mean by that? If it's not in this lifetime, how does the trauma relate if it's to another lifetime?
Okay. So just to give you an example, um, sometimes it can be patterns as well. So I do a lot of relationship work and I'll have, say, like a client may come and say, I keep on attracting, shall we say, abusive partners.
Mm.
And they've been to every psychologist and counselor under the sun. They've got all the tools and the strategies, but that pattern isn't shifting. So therefore, again, from my experience, when
Mm.
I start to work with them 9 times out of 10, this pattern goes beyond this life. So I will ascertain that once I start to work with them. It could be their pattern from past lives, from being downtrodden, abused. So we therefore need to clear vows and contracts around
Wow.
suffering, abuse, betrayal. It could be related to ancestral issues as well, because we do inherit things, family, genetic, generational, ancestral. So many of these different patterns are there on different levels.
Yes.
Another one relating to, shall we say, with pain, and I heard Amber was
Yeah.
talking about with her hips.
Mm.
So I'll have like a client who's come and said, "Look, I've been to all the doctors, or they may have been to other healers. Just say it was an actual knee pain." And then my first feeling is, I'm usually getting the actual past life impression in my mind, is that something happened to that knee in a past life. And
Wow.
then 9 times out of 10, once we start to work, the past life shows itself.
Right.
We quite a few past lives. And just what I liked what Amber said before, like there's different ways of clearing, releasing, because sometimes we don't actually forgive ourselves or the people that actually hurt us before in past lives. And that's partly why that trauma's come back up again in this lifetime, because we need to work around clearing those deeper blocked emotions,
Mm.
forgiveness for ourselves and forgiveness for the perpetrator sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, of course, that's where cellular memory, you talked about DNA memory, soul memory, all those different levels, I feel need to come into play for clearing and releasing.
Wow.
Wow. And would you say, with all of that kind of coming into play, Joelle, would you say that is this, you know, you're using your intuition, but is that also using your kinesiology and the sensory part of things? How does that all work?
Yes, yes. So, just say we've discussed with the client and we're going to work with this relationship issue. So when I pop them onto the table, I do work with my manual first. I speak everything out as I do it because I believe, again, voice, vibration. The body hears what we're saying. Yeah. So we bring everything together. We clear the energy field and things burst so things are nice and clear. We may, so then with the manual, I'll then muscle test. Where do we need to go now? So I usually know in my mind, but I'm also confirming it with the body. So working with the body, the subconscious, unconscious mind, the soul, all of the client. So we need to go to the vow first. So sometimes a vow, or should we say a contract, that's like the actual nucleus. And then the other past lives are like the tentacles that come off it, going
Wow.
into different areas. So you start to work with that vow first, clear and release it. Then I like to go into this life. Sometimes I'll take them back into some of those traumatic memories that happened around that particular relationship. Just using that as an actual example. I will then read it back and say, body recognizing, da da da, clearing, releasing it from all levels of consciousness. Karmic memory, cellular memory, soul memory. I've got a list. Do we need to clear blocked emotions associated, working through? Or I'll ask the client as well, is there a pain in the body where something's been held on to? Then again, through the muscle testing, this form of kinesiology, do we need to go back further in time? Body's saying yes. So we're going back. Um, uh, Birth, gestation, conception, past life. Is it their past life? Is it an ancestor's past life? That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
So once we get back there, so I can do it two ways. I I can either do the past lives for the person and clear and release them all. And some people I will also interact and we'll do it together, or just strictly regression. So I've gone the two ways of working. Yeah. But I do like to ascertain, is it their past life? Is it an ancestor's past life? And sometimes, especially if you've got a theme around, like, say, suffering, persecution, abuse, there can be multiple past lives. So I will always ask the body and also Lords of Karma in that moment, can we bring online a group of past lives also related to that theme? Because we're wanting to clear as much as we possibly can so that people can move forward. But sometimes it's not always possible to do everything with mass
Yes.
and
True.
if the body can't cope with it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I believe that it's important at this time. We need to go deeply, clear as much as possible. We are ascending, the earth is ascending, and I feel it's really important for people to clear as much as they possibly can in this lifetime.
Now, Joelle, as you're speaking and talking about those different layers and the different techniques, I vividly remember those exact words coming through during our session and how we had to go through the body and how we had to go through the different parts in order for me to truly release. And I do mean release. the blockage, the pain, or even the memory that the memories that we went through in each particular life. And I still have those memories implanted as if it was just like yesterday. And I don't think I'll ever forget those. I don't think it'll ever leave me in it. And it truly changed my whole perception on the healing that can be done through your modality, which, as you know, I was like borderline skeptical kind of person, like, yeah, let's go and do this. But you truly converted me in that particular session. I tell you that much.
Wow.
Now, you also talk about timelines and taking people through those timelines. For those people watching who have never heard about past life regression or your particular healing modality, what does timelines mean to you? And what would it mean for them if they were having a healing session with you?
Okay, so just as I mentioned before, for that example, so their body said, yes, we need to go back further in time. We're going past birth, gestation, conception. We're back in a past life. So that to me, we're back in like a different timeline
Yeah.
or a different space. And sometimes people talk about parallel lifetimes, but I just want to try to keep things simple here.
Yeah.
Um, so therefore, usually I'll get like a date. It doesn't have to be a precise date, but I think Amber also mentioned that as well before. She felt it was her past life was in a particular century.
Yes.
I'll normally get in my mind, 1600s, 1700s, or
Wow.
medieval, or
Mhm.
oh Christ, like it'll come up. So therefore, I call that we're back in a different, shall we say, time zone
Yes.
or timeline.
Yes.
But of course, with time is not linear; it is simultaneous. So people say yes, but so that happened in a past life. But therefore, sometimes, not saying always, but sometimes that suffering I mentioned before, sometimes with the soul, we hadn't recovered from that trauma because it was so devastating. Maybe we hadn't forgiven ourselves or the people around that situation. That's why it's really come up to be cleared and released in this lifetime.
Yes.
So it's almost like I'll say, well, therefore, that aspect of you or that part of you is suffering in that past lifetime, but time is not linear, it is simultaneous. So therefore, it's affecting you in this present time.
Wow.
And sometimes, when I come back to things like manifestation, it could be, why can't I manifest or this isn't happening, I'm feeling stuck.
Yes.
Well, therefore, what is it that we need to clear and release for the energy, for the person, for the body to free up, to step forward again?
Wow.
So I've probably gone on a little bit of a tangent
No,
there.
not at all. It makes total sense to me. So when you talk about time not being, not being in almost like a past, present, future tense, it's all happening at the same time according to the body and our memory and energy. Would that be right?
Correct, correct. So therefore, when I say to people about clearing the past life's still there,
Yeah.
but we're clearing the traumas around the past life. So just like Kebrasca said, he can go back into that past lifetime back in Egypt. It was so profound for him, and all those memories are still there. And there'll always be like a little bit of that trauma that's just still there, just to actually remind you. But then the majority of it is cleared and released.
Yes, yes.
So,
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's so interesting. So, Joelle, when someone clears, so you're talking about clearing, and when they clear the past life issues, and when you clear the karma, what shifts can they expect in their real life, in their current life? What do you notice, or what have people noticed?
yes. So just to give you that relationship issue example again. So I've had quite a lot of people, not always saying woman, but sometimes also I haven't had an actual relationship for 10, 20 years. And through all the different sessions that I've done now, usually what comes to mind, I need to muscle test kinesiology and check, is there a vow around poverty, chastity, obedience? Because many of us have been priests and nuns in past lives.
Yes.
Therefore, we take a vow of chastity, right?
Right.
And so, as I said, how past lives can be playing themselves out in this present time, we could be playing out that actual nun or priest who was celibate. Yeah. So, we need to clear and release that. the traumas around people being in abusive relationships. So
Mm.
therefore, by clearing that, I've received emails from people to say, "Wow, didn't happen straight away, but I've met someone, and their energy is different from the previous partners," and it's like, wow, yes. So therefore, with that clearing and shift in their energy, they're not unconsciously sending out anymore. Come and abuse me.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's
Right?
amazing.
So profound.
Yeah.
Another example is a client who would go from job to job to job to job. Every time, even though the boss didn't always seem to be back, there'd be someone there who was very, very abusive. It just kept playing itself out and out and out and out. So, therefore, by clearing the pattern at its core to stop that from happening, and then,
Mm.
wow, I've gone to a job and I'm not getting persecuted.
Mm.
Wow.
And we touched a little bit on psychology and dealing with that mental side of trauma. Why do you believe talking about trauma may not be, the enough or isn't enough to actually release it from the body or from people's lives? It, what's your take on that?
I feel talking is good because we need to express ourselves,
Mm.
and sometimes we're not able to, like don't want to tell our friends certain things. So at least in a therapy session, you can vent and you can express. And as I said, I've had clients who've been in intense psychotherapy for 5, 10, 15 years, and they're still venting and still expressing. But the issue's still there.
Yes.
From some of the research I've done is that psychology counseling only works on like the sort of lower levels, shall we
Mm.
say physical, emotional,
Mm.
mental. Whereas with healing, we've got so many more levels and layers because we are like an actual multi-dimensional being. So therefore we're working with the whole being, not just those small parts of those layers. Just as I touched on before, just to give an example, someone could be working with an issue with their mother and it's 20 years later and they've still got that same dynamic.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, it goes back into a past life and they've been in
Wow.
that same pattern again and again and again. It just plays itself out lifetime after lifetime. It's a
Mm.
little bit like a mouse in the wheel. We just keep on doing the same thing because it's locked there in the subconscious, unconscious levels and layers, stuck in the energy field. So that's why
Mm.
when I started to really, for me, with the Aquarian work, I just thought, wow, this just takes it to another level.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so much more deeper. And I don't want people sitting here for like 20 years and we're still stuck on the same issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I'm not
Absolutely.
helping them
No.
No.
if that's the case.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
What do you on that, Joelle, what do you feel is the purpose of the soul repeating those patterns over and over again?
Mm.
Like in your experience, you would have seen hundreds of people
Yes.
displaying those kinds of things. Why do you think we come to this earth to relive those patterns?
Well, there can be many, many reasons. And for myself, I've had hundreds of healing sessions as well. And I still do, sometimes I need one once a month, sometimes twice a month. It depends what's happening. Um, From my experience as well, the actual older that the soul is, shall we say like old soul, which means that
Mm.
you've been here, shall we say hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yes.
And it's not just this plane of existence, of course we have, so many other different stars and places of existence. So therefore, the more past lifetimes that you've had,
Mhm.
the more trauma that you've possibly experienced, one would say.
Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean to say that you always cleared that in in the lifetimes that you had subsequently.
Yeah.
There may have been some of those lifetimes that you did where you were, a priest, a priestess, working some sort of healer or in that field, but you may not have always worked with your own stuff. And then
Mm.
these patterns, they become embedded. And then, as I said, we also inherit family genetic generational patterns. And if you think like, for myself, in this lifetime, I've come in as an actual Corbett, so I've got the Corbett line. But what about all the past lifetimes that I've had, and I've had like a different name then? So I'm
Yeah,
also going to have all of those traumas as well.
Wow.
So like,
that's
it's
true.
almost like, how long is a piece of string? Yeah.
Yeah,
In this case, it'll be very long.
it goes on forever.
Well, it does. It
Mm.
does. But just, I just feel passionate about this because I know when things are cleared and released, then shifts start to happen, positive shifts in people's lives.
Yeah.
Now, dealing with all that type of work, Joelle, how is it that do you have a process to like protect yourself and the clients? And what does that process look like? Or what is that? Or can you take us through that process of
Yes.
protection? Um,
Yep. Yep. So therefore I like to always place like an actual golden ball of light around my room first. I always place myself within protection as well. I
Mhm.
like to work with the 12 chakra system, bringing down like a beautiful light beam of light down through my higher self, through 12 chakra, through the crown, through physical body, through base, deep down into the earth star chakra. Then I imagine it going right around my auric field. So I'm in that beautiful golden light all around me. Then I just command the body through my kinesiology or just speaking, please open 12 main chakras. So I will open up for the session. And then at the end of the session, we always do as well with this form of kinesiology. I always ask to disconnect. I say
Yes.
this to my client. I
Yes.
gal ask that the disconnection and grounding process happens for us both. And that for me is always very, very profound.
Yes.
And afterwards, I sometimes will close down my chakras. Just depends what I'm doing afterwards.
Yep.
Asking the angels to take away my old protection because I always like to put on new protection before so I always like to release the old protection first because otherwise levels of like stagnant energy can be in between.
Very true.
Then I just love white sage. I just adore it. I've got
Mhm.
frankincense and a myrrh on and burn those on charcoals. But I like to just get the white sage out and we have a big smoke up in here. Flare that. No, beloved. I just set
Do
the
too.
smoke on. I set off the smoke allowed every time. And all the smoke's going out the door because it clears the cells.
Yeah.
Any debris
Yeah. No.
left behind,
Yes.
it just all gets washed, taken away. And I've also had a beautiful park just on my street. I can go to the park, especially in summer, take off my shoes. I'll actually lie under a nice big tree.
My God.
Yeah, earth energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, foot the beach just down the road too. So again, just sitting I just find with the waves and all that beautiful, fresh air helps to clear and cleanse the energy field as well. Yeah. So when I first started years ago, I did get a little bit sick, but I seem to have established a really good routine now, and I don't have any problems.
No.
Oh, that's really good.
That is working in my home, in my space.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
If I was in a big, say, healing center that, where all mind, body, spirit, it's different energy there.
It is. It is. Yeah. I'm so glad that and grateful that you have such a profound way of protection for both yourself and your clients. I have, been with different people in different modalities that don't necessarily focus on having a protection process. They might have a cleansing process, but they may not have a full protection process. And for myself, being a practitioner now, and Amber's the same, we definitely use sage on a regular basis. Frankincense we do 2-3 times a day,
Yeah.
and
Palo Santo.
the energetic feeling of what happens both pre-session and during and after is the difference between night and day for me. So I think it's a ritual that is often overlooked, but it makes a profound difference to the practice if it's done, on a regular basis with clients and for the healers. So I love that.
Certainly
I
does.
love it.
Certainly does. And sometimes I just, before a session, I'll just ask Saint Germain and his violet flame.
Yeah.
The violet flame going through them. Before and after too. That's also a really good.
Yes.
Yes.
And then, of course, Archangel Michael, I sometimes ask afterwards. I can do it by my manual. I just ask him with the sword of blue light to cut cords for sponsored attachments as well.
Yes.
Then I'll always ask Raphael to seal in my auric field where those, because there'll often be like holes, rips, tears, and damage afterwards. And I just visualize just it being sealed, front, turn over, back, turn over, Thank you.
Please.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Just
Beautiful.
roll like a couple of minutes, quick and easy. And
Yeah.
anyone can do that as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
Correct.
thing. It doesn't, you don't have to, it doesn't have to take long,
No.
but it's a really important part of the
Yeah.
practice.
Yes.
And in doing this protection practice, say if you weren't to do it, what is the likelihood of like a negative energy coming in or like psychic interference? What does that mean for people who don't know? Like they might go, well, why are you doing all this energetic protections? What are you protecting against?
Well, when I'm working with a client, I'm actually in their field, so I'm merging with them. I'm part of them. So it could be that maybe if there is an entity or something, it could also jump into my field. That's
Mm.
also possible as
Yes.
well.
Very true.
I mean, not to say even if I've got protection around myself, well, it could still be there. But I'd probably sense it afterwards and ask for it to be removed. But it's more that um, I find that with that light that I bring through first, it helps to like raise my frequency, raise my vibration, because it is important that you're in a high vibrational state during the session as well. That to me is very, very important. But I say to people, protection, it's like walking out into a storm. You can walk outside into a storm, but you haven't got an actual umbrella or even a raincoat. At least by placing protection around yourself, you've got something around you.
Yes.
Although I find it's not 100% foolproof, but
Mm.
it's something.
It's better than nothing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
better than just
Exactly.
leaving yourself completely open.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leaving yourself completely open. I
Mm.
mean, it's just like after a session, you could say walk into a supermarket, and then while there's just all lower frequency and energies, and it just all comes into your field. And
Correct.
actually, you just get hit with it, or you suddenly, well, you could suddenly start feeling angry or sad, but
Yes.
it's not actually yours. It's
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
else.
100%.
would have probably both experienced that.
We have.
Yes. More so. This.
More so me.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better at managing that process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have to learn how to
Yeah.
actually go through that. Now, you've been doing your modality in your business for some time now, Joelle, but what's been one of the biggest challenges over the years that you've had to face building the business and being the entrepreneur that you are in order to take this modality, out around Victoria and out to the world? What's been one of your biggest challenges over the years?
Well, for me, I'm not. It's wonderful that you both have got wonderful marketing skills. That- and like you've got that business. So for me, that's not really one of my, strongest fortes. So it was like, well, how do I promote myself? Like, how do I start off? So years ago, I used to go to a lot of those like small psychic fairs.
Ah, yes,
At
yes.
them on at weekends, like it would be a Sunday somewhere. And I drive there and I do, say, like a 20-minute or a half an hour Aquarian healing session, just for like a moderate little cost. I give out brochures. Sometimes they would allow you to actually do a talk. So I'd always put my name down for the talk as
Yep.
well, because that again gave me exposure. And what I used to do, I was very lucky years and years ago. It's a very kind friend somehow printed all these brochures to me. So I had thousands and thousands and thousands of brochures. And I used to literally letter draw myself.
Oh, yep.
Wow.
We would walk street after street after street. So we'd say, okay, we're going to go to Richmond today. He'd do one side, I'd do the other side. Yeah. So we got out high volumes of flyers.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky I didn't have that big cost behind me. And then I found, people started to come in. And then it was like even sometimes I'd get a text or a phone call and they'd say, I've had your brochure for 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 2 years. And I put it away, but now is the time I've draw.
Wow.
So that for me worked really well. And I
Mm.
used to do as well, I still sometimes do, certain laundromats, notice boards, believe me. On Fitzroy Street at Woolies, it used to be IGA. I've had over 30 bookings off that.
Wow.
notice board. So don't discount
Wow.
notice boards.
No.
Oh, that's a hot tip. That's a hot tip there, Joelle.
It is. It is. And so, I've got certain notice boards that I still kind of keep up. And But I think as well, once you start to get established, it is word of mouth.
Mm.
I did used to work in a healing center for 6 years, and it was originally one day, then it went to two.
Hmm.
So I got quite a bit of business there too. So it wasn't just working at home, it was there and then working on the psychic line as well. So, because I contracted them. So it wasn't just me at home, just with the healing.
Yes.
Other areas, those other strings to
Mm.
bow as well. But I can say I've been 8 years full time in this field. So
Wow,
Congratulations. Wow.
that's awesome.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I think a lot of people within the healing space, they usually struggle if they only have one way of operating. We've experienced that ourselves. I think it's more important to have multiple streams
Mm.
within that space and ways that you can support yourself and help yourself, and
yes,
ways of getting yourself out there as
Yeah.
well. And
100%.
we've found
Yes.
that content definitely is a huge factor to that these days, especially with mobile devices and digital just being, people are just completely glued to the screen.
Yes.
And a,
Yes.
a way of connecting for us has always been around having that content piece. And that's why we do this is it takes care of a content piece. The other part that we've seen being really beneficial is your database of subscribers, which
Mm.
is also your database of mobile phone numbers, and using that as your letter drop, using that as your
Yes. Yes.
brochure, that
Yes.
where you're constantly connecting with people
Yeah.
via mobile phone, because they may not open your email or they may not look at the mail that they receive these days, but they always will look at a text message, and that is a really good way that we're seeing has massive traction within the space as
Yes.
well. So if you're not using any of those, then I would strongly recommend that becomes
Mm.
part of your marketing kit for like
For
2026 and
future.
beyond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are a lady of many talents.
Absolutely.
You not only do the Aquarian healing, but you touched on it just before, you do psychic um telephone line and things like that. What other modalities do you do, Joelle?
Uh, well, I originally trained in energy healing, and it was on the books of Barbara Ann Brennan,
Right.
Hands at Light,
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
which is working with the seven chakra system and all the different layers of the aura. That was what I was originally trained in back in New
Mm.
Zealand, and it's also a wonderful way of working because within Aquarian, I mean, we're utilizing kinesiology, as I touched on, timeline therapy, energy healing. There's lots of other different modalities, but if someone just wanted just to have, I mean, sure, I can do like a Reiki session, but I can do just a full on auric healing session.
Wow.
And yeah, that took quite a few years to actually complete that as well.
Yeah.
Studying at university at the time and just, trying to do too much. But then when I had time off in the holidays, I'd do some private sessions with my teacher and I'd say take a friend or a friend of a friend to work on and then have that time because there was a lot involved with that. It's quite intricate on some levels.
Yes.
But then again, you find your own way of working, being able to discern between the different levels and layers. So some people see I work more with my feeling, with my senses.
Mm.
Yes, I mean everyone's different. So yes, so I did that. I did my life coaching. I went to Sydney and did that years ago as well. And there was a time I was doing a lot of life coaching. Not as much these days, but
Yeah.
still open to it. But I find that different modalities, it all kind of blends together.
Mm.
It does.
We could be doing a healing session, but then someone, I've got these questions about this upcoming job. Well, let's pull some cards on that.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at that. I've even got some past life cards as well. Sometimes people are wanting to see. We've got the card in front of you. So, different sessions can mix and become what they need to.
Mm.
For someone that's listening to the show, never heard anything about, your modality or past life regression, and they're kind of stuck, and they're kind of stuck in the same patterns, and they're kind of in this, repeating cycle over and over and over. What would you suggest would be the kind of first steps that they need to do in order to change that?
Well, I feel like they need to perhaps maybe ascertain, you said like, stuck in a cycle or stuck
Mm.
in patterns. Perhaps maybe just get clear on that too, just in some bullet points. So which areas of my life is feeling stuck?
Yes.
And just have them noted, and then look at, okay, so relationship issues is always a big one. Looking at themselves, because it's always a two-way street as well. What am I doing in this particular relationship that could be maybe antagonizing it, or wanting to hold on to it, or um, so it's for the person to be honest with themselves. And
Mm.
that's one of the hardest steps sometimes, is for us to be honest with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Very true.
We don't want to look at the shadow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True.
But that's why, I always recommend. I have a lot of people ring, and I've had a lot of healers ring too, and say, oh, I've done this and this and
Mm.
this. But sometimes I feel we can only get so far ourselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
That's why, and then, Amber, I think, spoke before that there's many different healing modalities out there, or maybe Cabrasca did. And sometimes we need a different type of healing at a different time.
Mm.
Exactly.
And then the whole race
Agreed.
actually going on for you.
Yes.
So I feel it is just about being kind and gentle with yourself. Meditation can help.
Mm.
I find I used to do a lot of, I'd even do past life regressions on meditations.
Oh.
I used to have a lot of CDs with them on. During virtues, clearing 7 main chakras, things like that. And I would feel so much better afterwards. So there are some things that we can do for ourselves.
Mm.
I feel, just being, mindful, meditation, grounding, going into nature, those things as well. It all helps. It's just sometimes just having a nice hot bath, pops
Yeah.
the Epsom salts,
So,
things like that. But, I think there comes a time it's like, okay, I'm feeling like I don't really feel I can shift this, but I'm feeling ready to take the next step.
Mm.
yes.
And sometimes taking a next step can be a little bit frightening, because, it's then confronting ourselves.
Mhm.
Or do I really want to talk to this person about this issue?
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
right.
And, sometimes that's where it could be just nice to start off with, just say, having a Reiki session, which is
Mm.
just gentle, soft energy. Not to say that sometimes profound shifts can't happen from it as a
Mm.
Reiki session. They
Very
can.
true. Very true.
But they're not having to go into that particular issue.
Yeah.
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 And then, say if there was, say, issues going on with, say, the sacral chakra, well, the energy's going in there, and whatever can be cleared and released at that time is going to happen. As long as that person's open and
Mm.
ready for that. And as long as they're feeling clearer and lighter after that session, wow, that's like their first step going forward, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. I think the worst thing that people can do is, if they're feeling that way as well, is to not do anything. And
Yeah.
you've shared so many ideas around what people can actually do for themselves. Some of them cost money, some of them you can do yourself and
Free.
it doesn't cost you anything. But
Exactly.
sitting there and feeling that way, being stuck inside
Mm.
that space, you don't need to stay that way. There's a lot of things that are open these days that you can actually try and experiment on yourself and do it in a safe way as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Joelle, what's on the cards for you next?
Well, going forward, I mean, I would eventually like to teach Aquarian healing, but I can't call it Aquarian healing. I'd have to rename it, rebrand it. Um, it's a long story about red tape there, but what I'm trying to say here is that so many changes have happened since I first learned it anyway.
Mm.
And I don't work with all of the actual manual. So I would take what I do, I would retweak it, I would rewrite it, but it would be different.
Yes.
Yeah. And I bring in my own experiences within healing and things too. Also, what I've learned with my own teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So it would become something different.
Ooh.
And then, of course, once students learnt that, then it would eventually become different for them as well, because they put their own spin on it.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I would eventually, like to move into that area of more the teaching, the more mentoring, because, I really believe big changes are going to be happening in the world in the next few years.
Great.
People are looking at more, different methods. And of course, all of this is, everything's ancient anyway. It's just bringing it back, and it's making it, as Cabrasca said before about with your work. We are these marketing people, but you're bringing in your spirituality into what you do. Yeah, so it's bringing this more into our lives and making it more mainstream and more acceptable. hey, maybe it might be nice to go into like a workspace and do like a guided meditation, or do some coaching, with some of the people that are saying, yeah, I'm feeling blocked or feeling stuck. And I've done that quite a lot with, salespeople in the past too. And we did actually. Then I said to them, well, would you be open to having a healing session? Because this one feel goes into that, so.
I think you should do it, Joelle. You've got so
Me
much
too.
knowledge and so much experience. And like, I could listen to you all day talk about everything that you do and And it's just like, I do feel like you'd make a great teacher.
Mm.
And because you've had so many sessions where you have intuitively used that knowledge from your training, but gone further than that. I
Mm.
think you'd make a great teacher. I want to come and learn
I
from
do
you.
too. Yeah, I agree with Amber. I think that whole teaching space for you is kind of like your next, and stepping into that and owning that and creating that would be a profound thing that I think everyone would benefit from, and we would definitely be there to support that
Yeah.
if that becomes possible. Now, if people wanted to find out more about you, where can they find out? Where can they follow you? Is there any particular events that you're going to be at coming up? What can we do to help promote you?
Sure. So first of all, if you'd like to go to my website, Kebrasca mentioned before, universalhealingwellness.com. And I talk about the different modalities that I work with. I do have a business page on Facebook called Universal Healing. You may find me there. Events coming up. We've got the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival, Melbourne here.
Yes.
Play weekend. I'm just doing the 2 days in the Reader's Room, Saturday and Sunday. Predominantly in my private work, I'm really just focusing on my healing work now. I do some, reading work at some festivals and things. If it's needed within a session, yes, but my absolute passion is healing and deep healing. As I really pass it back. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. But like chocolate ice cream, So no, seriously, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a comment from one of our followers on YouTube from Jan regarding your teaching, and they're absolutely blown away by you, Joelle. And yes, please, they would love for you to teach so that they can join as well. So look, on behalf of Amber and myself, as we said, thank you so much for joining us this evening, for sharing space with us, for also sharing all your knowledge, insights, and just a touch. And I do believe we need to have you on again to really delve deeper into this world that you've created for yourself and helped so many, including myself and Amber,
Yeah.
on this journey of ours when we look to try and heal both our lives now and in the past
Yeah.
as well.
It's
But
amazing.
thank you so much for joining us, Joelle. We have been a pleasure, and we look forward to catching up with you, if not at Mind, Body, Spirit, before then.
Thank you very, very much. I'm very, very grateful to have this opportunity, and it's been lovely talking to you both tonight.
Thank you, Joelle.
Thanks, Joelle. And as we said, guys, you can actually follow her on her website page. It's universalhealingwellness.com. Her Instagram and Facebook pages are on there. Her life coaching readings and also the Aquarian healing is all available on there. You can check that out for yourself at any time. Please reach out to Joelle if you're ever looking at going down that journey of past life regression.
I would definitely recommend it. It's fascinating.
She's amazing.
She is. Even if you just want to know about one of your past lives, just go and do it.
Take the plunge. Take the plunge. Don't be skeptical like me and wait 30 years to actually do something about something. Go and do it. Go and see what this world is actually out there, because you never know what modality is going to work for you.
Exactly.
Anything else, Amber? Any closing remarks?
No, I'm just really grateful that Joelle could join us today, and go Kiwis. But yes, we're going to be back again next week with another special guest, and she's very talented as well. We're all these people in healing modalities are very, very talented in what they do. So we're happy to bring the worlds together and talk about them on our podcast.
We're not going to say who it is,
No.
but every week we're going to release it, and you guys will find out during the week who we have coming up in our next Thursday 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Creative Talk Podcast.
Yes.
But until then, until next week, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with you soon. And next week, we will have another amazing speaker to interview, to talk and share their world with you guys. But for us tonight, that's Creative Talk for another week.
Ka kite.
Thank you. Bye.